Welcome back, everybody, to the Gears Pro League Split 2, day number 4. I'm Ted, the Reflections Double, joined by Jacob MVPR. One series down. Now we're hopping into our second series, Fury 1 versus Purified. One that I think is going to be very equal in nature. I put both of these teams around the same. Skill level isn't the right word, but in terms of power rankings, I would say relatively the same, right? Until one of them starts to truly break away. Purified getting the victory yesterday against Team Queso was one step forward. If they beat Fury 1 tonight, they'll start to separate themselves from the pack. But Fury 1, they're a solid team, Jacob.
Yeah, solid team of up-and-coming young guns. And honestly, they're a team, if you sleep on them, you could find yourself facing defeat. This roster last, Aimboot, Jaled, and Ventry. They're so young. They're so unheard of. We don't even have pictures for all of them.
No, we don't, but they're going to be unlocked. Trust me, they will be unlocked. We got last Aimboot, Jaled, Ventry, as you said. These guys are very, very talented. Now, one thing about Fury 1, and it's a quirk, if you will, I don't know if it's one that they want to have, but they are solid at winning map number 1. They did it against Pioneers, right? But they find a way to lose the next map. So longevity seems to be a bit of an issue, but they definitely come out the gate swinging, which is going to be huge for them, especially heading into Control, which Purified yesterday was struggling on Control versus Team Queso, so I do give the leg up there to Fury 1 off the rip. But let's talk about Purified. This roster was incredible. Toti was explosive. The plays he was making truly were making me freak out, and I think it actually blew Colin's voice out. And not to mention too, Gary as well with his sniper shots. This roster is truly talented. The skill ceiling for these guys is really high.
Yeah, and honestly, they have what I think a lot of teams are lacking. Not one, but two co-IGLs and Addvers and Toti to be able to kind of spitball those ideas, trying to figure out how to come back, how to retake things. That theory crafting that they have, the potential of it at least, is just out of this world. Then you have Kardia and Gary that are not scared to get their hands dirty, to be the tip of the spear, to go in, pick up a couple kills, and even get eliminated. That's what these guys, and I like about those two guys on this roster, is they're selfless. They don't care about a stat line other than that W at the end of the day.
You mentioned one of those players, Kardia, and it just so happens he's going to be our player to watch for this series, Jacob. An incredible player all around, and he does a phenomenal job. And you look at his stats, and they're actually truly impressive, I must say. KDA 19th, okay, we've definitely seen better. But the damage per respawn and damage per execution, in terms of the players to watch that we have had in both last week and this week, those are the highest stats I've seen so far.
And those stats kind of line up exactly what I was telling you. The KDA, like you said, it's not that impressive. We have definitely seen higher. But third and second when it comes to damage and respawns and execution lines up exactly what I said. They don't care about their stat line. They'll be that first one in, and if they get 2 kills, that's fine and dandy. They did their job, and that lines up perfectly with getting the damage that they need. And Gary, I talked about Chavi, that young gun in the last matchup stepping up. Gary is that guy on this team and in this matchup. The only difference is he is stepping up, and he is stepping up big.
Right, he definitely is. And with Kardia having stats like that, Toti making the plays he's making, Gary doing Gary things, this roster, again, I don't know where they're going to end up after Split 2 heading into the Major. I think they could really be a fantastic team. They already have improved tremendously from week 1 to week 2, but they did have a rough start, obviously having to play, I believe, against Pioneers, and if I'm not mistaken, Rebel as well. I'll double check, but they had some tough matches off the rip. So yeah, Pioneers and Rebel, which they lost to them 3-0. So if you're talking about forming a new roster, coming in, with a new IGL, which obviously is Toti, who's bringing a new way of doing things. That's 2 of the toughest matches you could possibly get, but I think the rest of the split's going to be just fine. Let's dive, though, into our 5 maps we'll be rolling with Jacob, and we'll be starting off on District Control, which I had a chance to kind of take a peek a little bit earlier. This is the first time District is going to be played between these 2 rosters, at least for Split 2.
Yeah, and when I look at the maps and I'm just kind of taking it all in, it just seems like this Fury 1 roster looks a lot like that Elevate roster that Addvers was a part of, that core of that roster where they were able early on in the season and early on in these matchups take advantage of some of these teams. And I think District falls in line with that, not really having a matchup on that map and that mode before today. So what I think though is Purified looks like a version of that Noble roster before they disbanded when Toti first joined it. They're going ahead and not only upsetting some of these teams, they're taking teams to the distance, and they're really catching a lot of players off guard. So I think District could be a map that Fury 1 takes overall, but when it comes down to checkout, Training Ground, Speyer, maps that there's so much familiarity on with Toti and the core, I think it can be a 3-1, possibly a 3-0 shutout for Purified, but I don't want to speak too soon because I'm still kind of feeling it out, because that map number 5 screams a Fury 1 aggressive style matchup because of the outside portion of the map.
I do like kind of the mix of this, at least of the 5 maps. Specifically, though, I do think it does benefit the team of Purified a lot more. In terms of control, that was where Purified was lacking yesterday versus Team Queso, and I do think they're going to have struggles today. But in terms of using their ability for the pick and bans to pick the best maps for them, I love that they get District, and I love that they get Speyer, because they're maps that do encourage teamwork. And with Toti guiding his troops, that's going to benefit him greatly. Fury 1's going to have to fight hard to close the gap on these players and get into that CQC up close and personal fight, which they're more comfortable with on those two. So if there's ever going to be 2 maps that Purified would win against Fury 1 when it comes to control, I do like the prospects of District, and I like the prospects of Speyer. Now, as far as checkout goes, it's a bit of a mixed bag. We saw Toti making some heroic plays yesterday. He is absolutely going to be the guy I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for there. I do think Purified is going to be the better team on checkout, but when it comes to checkout specifically for Fury 1, it is that mixed bag. They did end up beating Fire and Ice, I think 6-1 on that map. But then a little bit later on, they ended up playing on that map, on the same map against Pioneers, and they lost 0-6. But it's Pioneers. So how much weight can that really hold? I'm not so certain. Okay, and that's why I'm not taking in Pioneers beating, obviously, you know.
Both of those stats.
Yeah, I mean.
You're talking about them beating Fire and Ice when
right.
Fire and Ice is winless, then you bring out the stat against Pioneers where playing against the Pioneers will skew anybody's stats. I don't care what you think. That's why.
Other than Rise.
Map cycle,
other than Rise.
I mean, it did skew their stats just in a positive way.
In a positive way. That's a fact.
But just like really thinking about it, that's why I kind of said, even though my gut feeling probably leans very, very heavily on this map cycle to Purified, when I look at the controls, you keep bringing up the controls, how slow of a start that Purified roster can get. I think Fury 1 can win those, especially if they get aggressive, especially if they keep their focus. But the reason why I kind of iffy on that map number 4 is if Fury 1 wins map number 1, right? And they take 2 straight beatdowns on maps number 2 and maps number 3.
Right.
I'm not sure they have the confidence going into map number 4 to take it, even though the game mode fits them as a team. That's why I'm still kind of thinking, I'm pondering, how could maps number 2 and 3 go leading into map number 4 to make me believe there might be a 5-game series here?
If we see Purified win map number 1 on District, I do see this ending in a 3-0 series. I really do. Because Purified is going to be fantastic on checkout, and they're going to be great on Training Grounds. They played Team Queso on that map. They weren't scared to play the long game, which I think is going to benefit them very, very well against Fury 1, who is going to be a lot like Team Queso, where they're going to want to finish off the games very quickly, finish off the rounds, very quickly. So I expect checkout and Training Grounds to heavily favor it Purified. But if they, like I said, if they take District, I think it's going to be a 3-0. Map 4 could be a toss-up. I love your justification there, Jacob, specifically about Fury 1's longevity and obviously their mentality heading into that 4th map after they've lost 2 in a row. All this could go up in the air, and we could see Fury 1 dominate Purified. But really I'm just saying what I think is going to happen. And look, Toti and all them are just truly that good. But hey, we'll see which, or at least how it's going to end up turning out. Super curious myself. I do think this is going to be the most evenly based match we're going to have today, Jacob.
No, I agree with you 100% because, like I said, Fury 1 looks like a younger version of this same exact roster. I think they lack a major IGL in the squad, but if they play quick, they're winning a lot of those gunfights. They may not need that IGL because they just continue to move forward.
And I do want to take a step back, excuse me. It's not the only one we're going to have. We do have Rise and Pittsburgh Knights coming up next. So both deadlocked with the same, pretty much the same map win percentage. That's going to be the one, bro. That's going to be the most evenly based map. But I think this one in its own right is going to be just as equal in terms of competition. Let's talk about our predictions, Jacob. We're trying to catch up the Blaze, who continues to just dominate, it seems. So I'm actually going to start with you this time around. I started off with the first series. Who are you going with?
Honestly, I think we both kind of hit the nail on the head in different aspects of what we think this matchup will be. Like I said, Fury 1 looking like a younger, more aggressive version of this Purified roster. But there's one thing that they don't have. They don't have Toti. Every single time Toti joins a roster, it's as simple as he just makes them better.
Everybody keeps saying that.
And it just happens. Look at the history of this man. So even though as close of a match I think this will be, there's only one Toti, and there's only going to be one victor. I think Purified takes this in 4 maps, like I said. But even if I'm wrong, I still got Purified taking the overall series.
And I think that's fair. I'm going Purified as well. I pretty much made that apparent. It's not that I don't believe in Fury 1. They just need to prove themselves a bit more, where Purified truly impressed me yesterday. Their ability to adapt and overcome when Team Queso was putting the hurting on them was really impressive. Now, is Purified beating, the likes of Rise or Pittsburgh Knights? Well, I don't know that yet. I can't call that just at least as of now. They got more work to do. But against Fury 1, I think they are going to be the favorite. Now, chat, who are you going with? I saw Purified leading the way a bit earlier. I didn't see the end result, though. So maybe Fury 1 was able to catch up. Unfortunately not. Purified still the favorite. We're all on the same page. Fury 1, it's up to you to prove us wrong. And you absolutely can. Again, I stand by it. I think this matchup's going to be very evenly based. It's not going to be one-sided like that Rebel TQ matchup was just a little bit earlier.
Hoping so, at least. I'm hoping so, because even though I agree with you 100% that it is going to be a little bit closer, we still, in theory, could see, a blowout match if Purified is playing lights out. And I just want to give a full shout out to the organization as a whole. Again, that logo, I love that logo. Maybe because my name is PR, I would love to have that on a dad hat or something. It's like the Dodgers meet the Pirates with that. I like it so much, man. I just like it.
I'm happy they're here.
He's his best.
I'm happy they're here, man. First time in Gears Pro League, at least to my knowledge. So happy that they were able to pick up a solid roster with Toti.
Not only they hear the solid roster, sorry, but that is just. Sorry, it just blows my mind.
What does the logo or the roster?
The fact that they entered at the perfect time. It's such a perfect roster to grow with.
It is. I'm just happy Toti got on a roster. That is truly complimenting his abilities. I really do like that. I think everybody is equal with him and does a really good job. Fury 1, though, excited, and honestly, too, we've been hyping up Purified. Let me talk a little bit about Fury 1 and why I like this roster quite a bit. Shine was talking about this yesterday. Aimboot, Last, Ventry, and Jaled. I like this roster because they grinded so hard to get here. These aren't new faces by any means. If you play Gears competitive to any degree, you should at least have heard about Aimbot, Last, Ventry, and Jaled, because they were consistently competing in the Challenger Series. They were consistently at least placing well enough to be in the majors. Did they have the biggest impact? To be fair, no, they didn't. But they were always there. So that just comes to show me they've got a lot of heart, they have a lot of spirit, and they're happy to be here. They're going to make the most of it, and they have made the most of it. So let's get into it. Here's the initial for map number 1 between Purified and Fury 1.
Fury 1's going to have to play into their logo, that F1 speed, and just really take over this match in an aggressive fashion, especially being control. And Aimboot gets the first down. Ventry cleans up that kill, and already off to a hot start as players continue to trade out, though. That's not looking good as Jaled and Last Move both get taken down. The cross is there. They got another down onto Toti, but they cannot finish off those eliminations, but they do have the positioning. They have a little bit of a lead, and they can get these eliminations if they play their cards right, but they get a little too greedy and get taken out, and that's where the experience of Toti will prevail.
Absolutely. That was pure experience shining through to keep calm, cool, and collected in that moment, especially when Aimbot is pushing you aggressively, which you justified in doing so. Hey, that's Toti in a nutshell. You love to see it. Now, obviously, Purified in control. They've got to defend against a wave of Fury 1 members pushing in one last time, and then they'll need to focus their attention onto the next hill, setting up spawn control. Obviously, first hill is chaotic. It's about establishing a drop shot. It's about obviously getting those early initials, but you want to get spawn control too. And it looks like Fury 1 is pushing in. Kardia put up one hell of a fight, leaving Addvers now to defend by himself. But this is a good opportunity now to focus on next, which Purified obviously is doing.
Yeah, I like what Fury 1 did there to kind of win that last battle. They have the bottom half as well. The reinforcements are slow to make their way in towards the middle. Jaled backing out for just a moment, but the right moment it is as he gets the cross needed along with Aimboot to solidify that bottom half of the map. But Kardia, he has to start crossing in through the juice downward, but it doesn't look like that's going to come through. A free flank opportunity from Ventry, as nobody is going to catch wind of that from Purified just yet. Finally, Addvers is there to try to stall it out, but a flash coming in. Ventry begins to get aggressive, but reinforcements at the right time from Purified to hold him off, all while Fury 1 is still gaining some points to have a 2-second lead.
2-second lead, not a lot, but still enough to make you feel a bit more comfortable. Look at this flank from Addvers, though, being sneaky. He did such a good job doing this against Team Queso yesterday in execution, but he's going to be sniffed out by Ventry, who gets honestly a blessed spot, right? A blessed spot to be able to spot Addvers in the right perfect time to shut him down. That could have been devastating for obviously Fury 1, who set up on the outside. In the meantime, though, still competitive, still very close, and Addvers still in a bit of a 1v against Ventry. Therefore, he's going to be focused on next. Ventry, though, not giving up spawn control on the next hill easily.
Already just 10 points, really separating these two teams. I think it was about 150 possible seconds that could be up for grabs. So not a high-scoring game to kind of start us off. That's just because both teams are really testing each other. They're playing the limits. Final push coming in on the other side of the map, but everybody rotating in for next. Kardia, he has to make a way to stay alive here. He does have some help coming, but that drop shot on his back is going to be the difference maker here. They work together, him and Addvers, to take out Ventry, keep the drop shot intact, used for another day.
59-36, super competitive. This is no surprise to me. We talked about how important it is for Fury 1 to start this series off with a victory. Allowing Purified to win district control could be devastating with training grounds, or excuse me, with checkout and training grounds following up right after this. So it's imperative Fury 1 wins this. Addvers just has a wall of Fury 1 members in front of him. You can tell how important it was for Fury 1's mindset to take over that spawn control and force these players out one by one, and they'll do exactly that. So now it's a 4v2 with only Toti and Kardia to be able to defend it. Toti takes down one, can't get the second though. Jaled was ready. Kardia falls shortly after, and Fury 1 basically gets a brand new hill.
Yeah, and honestly, hill number 2 was big for Fury 1. Even though it wasn't a massive point gain off of that hill, they did a good job of keeping Purified out of the hill. So that was a good way to kind of show that you can stop them. Now you have to figure out a way to start gaining the points while creating that stop, as Ventry wins a big 1v1 on the other side of the map. Shades of Brawny, and shout out to Colin for calling that one out. Unfortunately, he cannot do the same. Kardia ends that one quick, and the rotation begins across the map. Everybody trying to reunite for the side of Purified on this top side of the map. A late flash going in, but a shot grenade is going to stop them dead in their tracks, and that's where you see everybody disperse towards the low side of the map, which might work out for them because Gary is already being the tip of the spear.
He definitely is. He's trying anyways, isn't he? Now, my only worry is Fury 1 is gaining a pretty decent lead. If Purified starts to fall behind even more so, we're going to be looking at an identical kind of scenario like it was when they played Team Queso yesterday, map number 1 on Ritual, Jacob, where they had 100+ deficit. By the time they got the ball rolling, it was simply too late. Even though they kept it competitive and finished off at 300 to 244, that early deficit is truly what put Purified in the grave. So they've got to keep this scoreline in check, bring it back against Fury 1. They've got control of the new hill over at Bandstand. This is a hill that can be difficult to break, so Purified can hold on. They're right back in the game.
Yeah, they're going to have to hold on. They scored only 7 points throughout the last 2 hills up until this point. So a big victory here, and I think it's going to come with 2 team fights. Their first one to defend, and the second one to stop Fury 1 from creating a contestation on the hill, as Ventry is going to go ahead and solidify himself towards the top. That is massive and quite easy for Fury 1 to at least get that positioning. Jaled towards the top, 1v1 versus Kardia. The shots are in, and Kardia is going to come out on top. Ventry, he overextends with help some Aimboot towards the bottom, so a 3v3 will continue between both of these teams, with last move getting a down. Aimboot soon to follow, so that's 2 more eliminations, but Toti hasn't been cleaned up just yet. Revives might come just in the nick of time, but no, Addvers is not there, but he's there in this battle to keep it going in a 2v3 fashion. Back A, Kardia, everybody from the side of Purified continue to fall, and Fury 1, off to a hot start, continue to streak.
But Gary, though, he's formulating a plan, and he sees the last player. Jaled, he wasn't ready. Aimbot actually can roll in. Gary only gets about 1 point and 1 kill, and he's going to go ahead and join the rest of his teammates. Maybe, but no, Aimbot's not going to allow that to happen. He gets revenge from his teammate dying a little bit earlier. Purified kept that hill contested for quite some time, but Fury 1, like you said, they're off to a hot start, and that start really hasn't ended. 140 to 68. Jaled pushing Addvers all the way back to where he originally spawned. Addvers forced to pull out the Lancer, can't get out, and that is what Fury 1 needs to do. That aggression is going to pay dividends. Purified at this point is struggling. They're grasping at straws, and they're only getting the short ones because they are falling apart when it comes to the slaying category, something that affected them against Team Queso yesterday. And this is where I expected Fury 1 to excel, and they're not letting me down.
I was going to say, though, even though they are struggling by a large margin, on the side of Purified, that last hill was the best hill hold they had in terms of points in such a long time here. As Addvers goes down, Toti's there just in the nick of time to get the revive. Goes for the up A, didn't land any damage. Him and Addvers continue to bait and switch. They do have some help from Kardia, I do believe, on the side, but Toti gets shut down. He doesn't put any damage, so it's going to be even easier for Fury 1 as long as they continue to sway the battle in their side. No eliminations just yet, and even mantle kick as Gary gets shut down. A stronghold from Fury 1, and if they can do it once more, they will eclipse the 200-point mark.
And that is scary. Why? Because Purified's still at 68. I swear they've been at 68 points now for the longest time. Well, obviously, since Bandstand, they had no success on that last hill, and they're not going to have any success, I don't think, anytime soon. Aimboot is able to back up. Toti tries to get that side shot. I love Aimbot's awareness to be able to back up. In the meantime, he's going in for the challenge, but Toti will finally put him into the grave. Gary, Toti trying to stop Fury 1 from overextending to the new hill. I like that they were trying to establish themselves, and they did establish themselves within Bandstand, not allowing Fury 1 to get anywhere close. Round number 2, though, is in. Got to stop them once again.
Yeah, that was a massive hill for Fury 1. 60-0. 2 different hills Fury 1 had shut out and gave Purified donuts when it comes to the score line. This time around, though, Purified, they're going to start off on this hill and start off gaining some points, which they desperately need. Gary hiding in the corner. Last move is going to see him there. Going to continue to push forward as they try to take this 2v1. They need to win this against Jaled without getting the trade, and they do just that. Make quick work of him. Fire weapon in towards the middle. That is going to be up for grabs, so they can continue to push forward and grab it while they have the man advantage, or they can wait, allow Purified to spawn up, and have a great chance of getting the drop shot under their own control.
Oh, but it looks like Ventry sees an opportunity, goes for it. Jaled picks him up, and now the drop shot is gone and out of the way. Fury 1 has the opportunity to use that if they so decide. Speaking of which, Ventry looked like he had it out, but he's going to go ahead and trust last move to make the move, which he does. Watch out, though. There's a player on the flank, and it's going to be Toti taken down last, and Ventry ends up falling. Drop shot ultimately does go to waste. Jacob, we have seen the drop shot on District since its addition, replacing the boom shot, get wasted so much. Send it flying. When in doubt, pull it out and send it flying, and don't let it die with it on your back.
That was a much-needed hold. Much needed. About 61-3 on that last hill for Purified. So slowly but surely, they're climbing back into it. This is what happens when you put yourself that deep into a hole. You're forced to make comeback against some of the best when it comes to how aggressive Fury 1 is playing on an individual manner. Purified, they have the teamwork. It just doesn't look like they're leaning into it as 2 more downs coming through. A well-placed shot from Ventry. Jaled is trying to clean up those eliminations, but he goes forward by himself. Bites off more than he can chew. He gets shut down. Toti and Addvers, the veterans on the squad, they're going to get 3. Last move by himself, and it looks like they are going to get 4 along with the help of Gary. Another much-needed stop from Purified here as Fury 1 looking like they're beginning to slow down late in the game.
They definitely are. Longevity, that's the thing about Fury 1. Map 1 is where they come out with an explosive start. Control in general is where they excel. But then all of a sudden, Fury 1 starts to slow down in the series, but they might be already slowing down in map 1 as we're back to the original start. Well, at least we've been here. Nice shot from Gary. Yet really, at least I felt the energy from him in that moment. I really thought he was going to collapse in and get that kill on the last move, but hey, last move wasn't phased at all. Purified, they're going to have to let that last hill go. Give it up to Fury 1. Let them get as close to possible to 250, or at least they have no choice but to let them. Focus on next. These next couple of hills are going to be really going to make or break Purified.
Yeah, it really is, especially since all this scrap time is going to Fury 1. They eclipsed that 250 point mark. They have 100 exact over this Purified roster, and they have the next drop shot as well. So this is looking like a major uphill battle for this Purified squad. And it's going to have to start here. They have to start putting up these eliminations. They have to starting to stop Fury 1 dead in their tracks. Gary's only going to get it down onto Jaled. Drop shot still in play by Aimboot, who shoots it over the top. Only gets damage scored as the shot grenade is going to be there to try to continue to back him up. But now it's Fury 1 who's getting the points, but it does look like Purified have them surrounded.
Have them surrounded, but it's one thing to have them surrounded and another to take them down. Now, Toti picking up that down is massive. If Gary can get the pickup here, that would be huge, but last move, heads up play, gets the finish on the down player on Toti, and that's exactly what he needed to do. That situation could have been dire. 272 to 152. Purified, they're running out of options, and they have to fight extra hard, maybe even get a little bit desperate, because honestly, at this point, desperation, even though that's something you don't want to bank on, Jacob, hey, at least you can hang your hat on that and maybe make a bit of a dent or an impact. If Fury 1 loses this district, being this close to victory, it would be a monumental collapse.
Yeah, and you got to think what that's going to do to their egos here after this one and how well they're going to continue to perform as team. 25 seconds away. Only 13 scored for Purified on this hill with 20 seconds left to go. So Fury 1, they can abandon this. They're not going to win on it, but they want to assert their dominance. So they win that fight. 3 players down for Purified. Everybody from Fury 1 beginning to make this rotation as they close out the game or get it that much closer. So it's going to be perfection needed from Purified and the boys.
10 points away is Fury 1. Make that now just 8. It's going to continue to dwindle away. Purified not going to be able, well, they will have at least, the current hill. But being 7 points away, Fury 1, they are on the door and they are knocking hard, ready to come in. So 10 seconds remaining on the drop shot, and player 7 can afford to just stay there because Purified, you can see how they are set up. They are ready to stop Fury 1 when they go for the retake attempt on the hill. Drop shot now in play. Last move, eased. No, should be Jaled's going to pick it up. And this might be all she wrote for Purified. This is a bad situation to be in with the drop shot facing your way. Smokes are going to be out. Addvers might be the first victim.
Great shock, but even great that much more distance for Jaled to kind of pick and choose where he wants to fire off his drop shot. It is going to be contested to Purified, not coming back. It's going to be a monumental miss from Jaled, though. But with the game only 6 points away from missing, you have to have that pitcher's mentality. Shrug it off and continue to look forward, because right now this could be the push that's going to win you the game. Addvers, he's able to put a stop to that one, but the revive is there. Nobody picking up the eliminations just yet until now. Gary, Kardia, Addvers, they all get shut down. Toti's nowhere near the hill, and Fury 1 will strike and win map number 1.
Yeah, well done from Fury 1. To be expected. They're just a solid map 1 team. They're a solid control team in general. So there you go. And that turns out the way that I expected it to go. Aimbot with your MVP. 20k damage done. Very, very well done in general. It seems like when it comes to Purified in their control game, you know, it really comes down to their ability to just win fights, you know, and they do win fights and they break kills at times, but for the most part, it seems like they're a bit discombobulated. No matter Toti trying to lead his troops, it's just simply not enough. I posed a question to you after watching that: is what glaring issues do you have for Purified? Because this is the second time now in back-to-back nights they've lost by over 100 points.
Yeah, Toti can only do so much. Toti is one guy, and you can see why he excels in those executions. It's a much slower pace, and he can think a lot quicker, or has more time to think. In control, he only has a few short seconds to think where he wants to put the troops, where the move needs to be, where the defense needs to come in. So he has to figure out a way for the rest of his team on the other side of the map to kind of pick up the pace, so it's not all on one player, on one person's shoulders when it comes to that, because somebody has to figure out a way to stop the bleeding other than one person.
Other than one person, indeed. You know, that's a great point that was brought up a little bit earlier. You know, obviously people do in fact give out their predictions. Vane is one of those, and he said, you know, hey, I gotta support Fury 1 in their matchup against Purified. And, you know, his justification, or at least I threw it back, like, look, you know, you can't count against or bet against Toti. And he agreed with that. but you need the rest of the team to also back you up. And the thing is, Toti's going to be amazing, and you expect that, given his lineage on Noble, but Gary, Kardia, and Addvers are incredible in their own right, but just coming together as a team in control, they're still lacking. That's the big thing. They just get outslayed. I think that's the biggest issue, at least it was against Team Queso. It seemed to be the same issue here, obviously, against Fury 1. But control is not where I expected them to excel. Now we're moving into checkout execution. I think that's going to be a much better map.
Yeah, hopefully so. Like I said, there's those moments in execution that they're able to stop. They're able to breathe. Even if Toti's dead, he can kind of assess the situation and prepare for the next round. And this is the biggest stat that kind of hurts me against this Purified roster, especially in map number 1, is there's been 2 different hills. Hill number 2 and hill number 5. 97-0, Fury 1 shut them out on 2 different hills. A third of the game Fury 1 captured and left Purified unscored. That's where I begin to think where it's like the IGL can only do so much. You need players to start hitting shots. You need to start hitting shots in a cohesive unit. There were moments where the players of Purified were winning battles, but they were unable to stretch it forward for points, for hill gain, or any positional gain at that. And there were so many other moments where Fury 1 was able to break through the defense in a blink of an eye. So this is where our predictions kind of take shape. We kind of thought Fury 1 had the best chances to win map number 1, but once it goes into the execution, the escalation, these next 2 back-to-back maps for Purified, they have to step up big. They have to return fire here.
And one last thing on the control, Jacob, that I really appreciated from Fury 1 is their ability to dismantle piece by piece Purified's defensive setup. And they did that several times by wolfpacking against 1 or 2 players. Case in point, Addvers at one point was trying to lock in the spawns where he originally spawned up at the beginning. And he was forced all the way back, literally his back turned to the very edge of the map. That's how far and how much distance he had to create, because Fury 1 was relentless. They were aggressively pushing 2, 3 strongs to take him down. And what was important about that? Well, first off, it's a mismatch. It's a 2v3 or a 2 or 3v1. And at that point in time, you're going to win that fight more often than not. Now you're getting spawn control, but then you can double back because obviously Addvers needs help. So one member is being sent from Purified to help him out. But by the time he gets there, Addvers is dead. And now he's in the same situation Addvers was in just a little bit earlier. So I really appreciated Fury 1's ability to prioritize and maximize their Wolfpack for spawn control, but also bully out member after member of Purified to take them down. They were forcing fights that obviously benefited them and gave them the man advantage, as opposed to just, 1v1s. Let's just see who wins it. It's a 50-50. They didn't allow them to get in situations like that often. So I did appreciate that. And also their ability to spot Addvers or whoever from Purified who was trying to flank around. Jaled, Aimboot, whoever was right there, ready to spot that out, see it, and then stop it before it had any impact at all. I think Fury 1 did a great job prioritizing the proper things.
You hit the nail on the head, and because of all that aggression and slaying, they controlled the power weapons as well. That's where I'm hoping when we load into this next execution, things can slow down just a little bit for this Purified roster. Give Toti a chance to think, but I'm saying slow down relatively loosely because we know Checkout is one of the fastest execution maps that we have. So Purified, they don't have much time to kind of figure it out. They need to figure out who's going to lead the charge, which it is usually Toti towards the plat side, towards those mid lane, and how your teammates are going to react.
All right, we're heading into checkout. This is where Toti was a superstar yesterday. And I brought up the stats, at least when it comes to Fury 1. They played this map twice throughout the 2 weeks that we've had of Pro League so far in Split 2. And once was against Fire and Ice. They beat them 6-1. The other one was against Pioneers. They lost 0-6. Not that big of a stat line yet. So we'll really find out and get a good answer as to how good Fury 1 can be here after this is over with. Ventry throwing out 2 nades to start off to no effect, but the instance from Toti, he loves that plat fight. He did it so well yesterday against Team Queso. He makes good connections, but it looks like maybe things are starting to shift. Who knows? 1v2, Jaled by himself, nowhere to go. He's going to get angled out. Purified will win round number 1.
Yeah, you saw when he threw those frag grenades over the top. He was hoping they would land in towards the plat side. Unfortunately, it was at such an angle, it kind of rolled off the plat in towards the mid lane where nobody was there. And if he gets those eliminations, he's able to continue with his teammate, possibly get one more, narrow it down to a 2v2. And you saw towards the end, the players of Purified were split up, so they had a chance to keep it going. Fury One doing a good job of playing their cards right early on against this Purified squad. Unfortunately, they were just a little behind, a little too slow. As you see some mistakes coming in. Maybe Addvers wasn't there. Maybe something going wrong with somebody's controller. Maybe it's Kardia because he hasn't moved.
Maybe it's Kardia because he hasn't moved. Hey, these things just happen. You know, it is what it is. All right, we'll be getting it going relatively soon. Until then, everybody's going to keep their fingers warm, ready to go. We did lose Kardia. You hate to see it, but more time to kind of break down and talk about that round number 1, which again, Toti is a nuisance on the platform. Jacob, he was a nuisance yesterday, continues to be a nuisance today. And another thing too, yes, they fight for the platform hard, but there were multiple times against their matchup against Team Queso yesterday where they won 6-3 on checkout. Was you know, Purified's ability to get their hands on the sniper, and more often than not, it was Gary picking that up. So they've got 2 plays. You know, they're not scared to play for plat with Toti. They're not scared to play onto the other side, obviously, for the sniper. And at times too, they're not scared to go up top and go for the nade. So they've got 3 distinct looks that they can implement at any time.
Yeah. There's actually Ventry now that I'm kind of looking at. Ventry, he went towards the outward path. They did a good job on the side of Fury One in that first round, even though they lost, of not dying rather quickly in towards that plat side. It took a few seconds. It took the usage of the incendiary grenades, even though they were outmatched. That's why I put so much pressure on Ventry there in that situation. Like I said, if he puts that grenade in towards the plat side, I do believe Fury One wins the first round. They continue to build off the momentum from map number 1, but unfortunately, it's Purified who win. But at the same time, unfortunately, again, Kardia lags out, so neither team is able to build momentum after that first round.
I know, neither team, which it is pretty interesting, you know, when you think about that. It's like, okay, we have a bit of a stalemate. Issues did occur. The game has been paused, but you're right, the momentum is a thing. It's funny, you know, since I've been doing stats and kind of calculating the time it takes to do, you know, an entire execution game. Like, for example, that clock tower Rebel versus Team Queso earlier that ended 6-0. In total, that was only 453 seconds. So you think about that, that's not a lot. In fact, like, execution games could literally, like, in terms of actual gameplay, can be 3 minutes long. So if you think about it, you got 3 minutes to win a game. That's how lightning fast these games and these rounds can be.
I'm trying to think. That's literally less than 10 minutes. You can't even finish your break on the job.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's literally like, at times could be 3 to 4 minutes. They could be 3 to 4 minute games. That's it. Kind of wild.
God. Especially on a map like Execution.
Excuse me?
It's like, especially on a map like well, yeah, I don't know, man.
What map is Execution? I've actually never seen that before.
It's all of them, bro. It's this one.
Is that OG?
Check out. I'm just looking at them bounce around right here, and I'm Purified, man. I don't fight these fights. I let it kind of stalemate.
Yeah. Love you, Jacob. Now, you're lucky you're not casting McCollin tonight, because if you were casting McCollin,
he would have roasted me.
Oh, he would have roasted you, pointed out your flaws. You know, can't get anything over on that guy.
Yeah, I think he roasts on stream. Wait till you say something, make a mistake in private.
I know it. He's gonna tear you apart.
He's gonna demo bounce, throw smoking.
Everybody thinks he's a good old country boy, nice as can be. Nah, he'll rip you a new one, man. You mess up.
He's a man for a reason.
He really is. Hey, he is a man's man for a reason. Toti first blooded. That's a big L Purified's going to have to handle and ultimately hold. And Kardia also falling shortly after. This is looking like a Fury 1 round, and it is definitely going to be Gary. Unless he can pull off some heroics, not going to be able to happen. Quick round. Fury 1 answers back.
You absolutely need to be able to answer back quick. And honestly, this is like serving up a battle that you absolutely want. Because you know I've been saying it for ages. When you're the better team, on paper, you'd think Purified is. You want to stay away from a map like Checkout. Because it's an all-out war. You could die in a blink of an eye, and then you give up a major advantage, and before you know it, Fury 1 can win. You're talking about how less than 10 minutes is all it takes to lose a match.
Man, less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. That's the thing. It's so blazingly fast. And I think the big key takeaway for that is you don't get a reset and you really don't get a mental break unless you're playing Pioneers and Handles is beating you down, right? That's the only time you really get a mental break. But aside from that, man, it is just lightning fast. You better be ready to play. Nice shot from Gary. Not going to amount to much, though, because at that point it was already a 4v1. And Fury 1 has answered back completely to tie this thing up 2-2.
Purified came back from that break. Kardia, hopefully you loaded in. Maybe he needs to go re-up. Level 100 re-up.
I'm not scared.
Tell me then.
Not anymore.
Ask Colin.
Throwing smoke.
All I know, these guys grind. Hey, Jacob. Guys grind. Okay, Toti on the platform. Not going to amount to much, though. Who got first blood, though? Gary dying off the rip. You know, Fury one's been getting first blood super consistently off the 2 rounds that they've managed to win. And the impressive thing about that is they are converting that to a win. Addvers last alive. And, man, that would have been so good for Purified if they had 1 player to finish off those 2 knocked on the plat. But ultimately, it doesn't come to fruition. That's 3 in a row. Purified struggling in 3 rounds in a row, man. They got to find an answer.
I think some teams forgot to set their alarm today. First team Queso, they didn't wake up for their first round matchup. That was quicker than anybody have guessed that one to be. And now this Purified roster, seeming like they're not waking up from a nightmare with Fury 1 taking advantage. 3-2, a small advantage in terms of this map number 2 scoreline, but overall a big advantage in the map scoreline as Toti surviving for now. He's going to go down, quickly revive back up. Can he put those instants to use though? His teammates are now under siege. He finds an opportunity towards the back line onto Ventry. He's not going to connect, but he's going to live to save the day. Towards the top of that cover, he's going to throw a second one. That's going to get some damage, allow him to get the down. His teammates are cleaning up on the other side of that platform, so it's going to be all good, all gravy for them as they pick up a big elimination onto last move at the top side of the map. And it's going to take a big effort from Aimboot as he finally gets shut down, and Purified tie us up at 3 rounds apiece.
There it is, 3 rounds apiece. Super competitive to be expected between Fury 1 and Purified. It would be a big move if Fury 1 wins this, actually, with how much I favored Purified based on their gameplay yesterday. But it's a different opponent. Fury 1's not Team Queso, and Fury 1 is definitely putting up a decent fight. Loving what I'm seeing from them. Again, these guys have been grinding for a long time, and they're finally here in Pro League, and they are making the most of it. Toti once again going on the platform and maybe getting baited out a little bit, but no, he has full reign to just go up there and do what he wants. Great shots, though, from Aimboot to be able to drop Gary in the distance. Now Toti, Kardia struggling to get away, and that wolf packing that worked so well on District, working so well right now in round number 7. Gary can't get away in time, and Fury 1 will win a flawless round in 29 seconds.
Yeah, that early down with Gary kind of getting knocked there for that moment kind of hurt everything, because those 2 players are already in the motion of going to the top side of plat side. So with him going down, that forced a decision to be made by that back lane player, which I do think it was Addvers. He either had to continue to put out that DPS in the battle that was already started, or take himself out of the fray to get the revive onto Gary. And Gary just put his team in such a bad spot there. He cannot go down.
Can't go down indeed. Getting that first blood is really, honestly, the last straw, really, for Fury 1, because once they get that, they've converted it every single time to a victory. They've done an incredible job at doing so once they get that advantage. This is the most stalemate round we've had yet in the 7 that we've seen played out. And I'm curious who ends up ahead here. Jaled wanted to make a move, but he's kept in check. Can't get his hands on the instance just yet. But meanwhile, Toti gets a great shot on the Jaled, but once again, another reset.
That was a risky move by Toti there, just hopping up, trying to get the one-shot chunk. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. He goes out wide yet again, but it's just going to be a bait, and the bait's going to be taken by Fury 1. All 4 players maneuvering over. Ventry's going to get shut down first. Quickly trades with Gary. Addvers can't outlast here. He's going to be down twice, but quick revive back into the mix by Kardia. Instant's going to be used just to stay alive, though. He cannot be used. That's going to be Aimboot making the play, dodging both of the instants, getting the down with Jaled, backtracking in his steps, and Jaled hits the headshot. That's going to be a 2v1 Addvers. He's going to be stuck by himself on this wing. The angles are in for Fury 1. They just have to play their cards right.
Yeah, Kardia is in such a tough spot to be in. You got last move to his right. You got Jaled to the left. And ultimately, he's going to end up falling. Jacob, it was looking so good for Purified in that round. You even mentioned the bait, which I want you to elaborate on. But where did it all go wrong? Obviously, Toti dropping on platform hurt a lot.
It wasn't necessarily Toti. I do think it was when Gary went down yet again. Maybe it was Addvers. I didn't recall who it was, but it was twice. You said early on Jaled was making a move towards the plat. That was just because of an early fake by Toti. He tries it again, but his teammates need to stay alive. That's the only way you're going to win some of these rounds.
Eventually, the final round, Fury 1 could take a 2-0 lead in the series. That would be obviously putting them in a fantastic spot. But first blood is in, and Toti has died once again. And it looks like Purified's going to take this opportunity to go in and back up, play for the overtime hill, and get away from that sniper.
Only real play they have here, because they're slowly going to be suffocating themselves to stay in that spot, because at least now they have something to work with, which is those frag grenades, and that's really it. They have to be able to hide their numbers as best as possible while still trying to set up for this push that is going to come through from Fury 1. It's only a matter of time as they're just trying to figure out which target, which player of this Purified roster they want to single out first.
Such a hard spot to be in for Purified. Obviously, it can be difficult for Fury 1, though. When they try to break out. You know, they have the numbers.
Easy.
Well, there's no lane that they can get through that's not going to get peppered.
Well, the thing is right now, it's a 4v3. They just need to get ready for the revive. They're going to go down going for this.
And Jaled.
The heck?
Jaled ends up falling. Now 3v3. Still, though, you got to give credit to Ventry. One good shot brings it back into the man advantage for Fury 1. Ventry, though, trying to get away. Toti actually does, in fact, lag out. But fortunately, I guess, in a way, he was already dead. So it's still a 3v3. An opportunity for Purified still to win this round is in, but now I guess overtime is going to be here at the checkout stand. So Purified just backed up, created that distance, and yeah, now Fury 1 has the advantage.
Played into the inexperience of these young guns of Fury. I'm still shocked right now. I don't know what happened. I'm scratching my head, but a great shot by attempt there. Addvers goes down in towards the plat side, going for those incendiary grenades. It's going to be success. He go ahead and incense the hill. They're trying to get in for the overtime. A not perfect incen from Addvers. The team's unable to take advantage, and Fury 1 will win back-to-back maps to surprise Gears Esports.
There it is, 2 in a row, and man, did they look good doing so, converting those first bloods just about every time. Hey, they did it every single time, and they ended up getting the victory. 2-4. That's going to make 6 first bloods in total for the entire side of Fury 1. They're looking great, and maybe even getting a 3-0 here. We're going to be moving into Escalation next. It's on Training Grounds. Series not done yet. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Gears Pro League Split 2 Day 4 second series well underway. Fury 1 flawless start, 2-0 lead currently over Purified. They win District 300 to 197 and then follow that up with a victory on checkout 6-3. First bloods across the board, totaled 6. Jacob totaled 6, and not to mention 2 revives were fantastic. It seemed like they truly had the upper edge or upper hand here against Purified.
Upper hand, lower hand, round town, downtown. They had everything that they absolutely needed for victory. And honestly, this is like the Twilight Zone when it comes to Gears Esports. You had Rebel absolutely dominate Team Queso, who came out to show themselves. Still had Rebel winning the series, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Yet another series where Purified is coming out flat as can be. I don't think anybody would have guessed this one either, even if you had Fury 1 winning the overall series. But can Purified step it up? Can they complete a backdoor sweep, winning 3 straight maps? Who knows? Only time will tell.
Well, we're going to find out shortly with Training Grounds coming up next. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Last time Fury 1 played on TG was against Fire and Ice, and it went to a round 9. Same thing, though, for Purified. Team Queso, it also went the distance too. And then you can argue that Purified wins that because Team Queso was way too aggressive. They should have pumped the brakes and played the long game. Instead, they were trying to overcommit. Me and Colin were commenting on that quite a bit. So if Fury 1 doesn't follow the same suit, well, I think they could, in fact, win this map. I really do. They might, in fact, be the favored on Training Grounds. But who knows? You know, Purified, they're not going to go down without a fight. We'll see if they can come back. Just to reiterate, though, on checkout, one quick point. You mentioned Gary quite a bit. Do you stand by that sentiment? Do you think Gary made too many mistakes and, in a way, costed the team of Purified?
You might look at it as a mistake, and I will too, because technically it boils down to a mistake. Right, but he's just a little bit out of position. He's getting down in situations that he shouldn't. He's taking a little bit too much damage when he needs to wait for the rest of the roster. But you can kind of see why. He is a younger player compared to a lot of our other superstars in the game. So I'm going to give him a little bit of time to get it together. but I'm not going to give you much time because Purified, you don't have much time before you
They
get
don't.
shut out 3-0.
All right, here we go. Starting off round number 1, Addvers already trying to go for the flank, but he's going to be sniffed out. And what sucks about that is it goes into a mismatch. Now you got a 3v2 up top on Overlook, and Addvers is forced to try and make a move, which he's getting angled out by Jaled because player 1 Toti and Gary didn't even attempt to try and focus fire up top because they were banking on the fact Addvers would be successful on the flank. Toti trying to pull off some heroics, but Fury 1, a flawless start so far. They get the neutral. They get C, they've got Overlook control, and Kardia is desperate to try and get on that overhang position so he can help his teammates get on the neutral.
Where it is going to get tricky for this Purified roster. Who's been struggling, and I mean struggling, I mean struggling reflections. They have to show what they're made of here. They make quick work of getting the Overlook, but there's no weapon, there's no hill on that side of the map. Your job is not done just yet. Toti, that third player rotating over, so they're basically showing their cards, they're showing their hands that they want to be aggressive, find the eliminations towards the U, and either overextend or try to backtrack, but Toti gets downed over the top. Finally, Gary shows up, getting that elimination onto Jaled, forcing last move out of position, so they're going to be rewarded with at least 1 hill.
Rewarded, as you said, still the substantial lead, 150 to 99 at this point in time. Purified with the double home hill setup. It's going to be short-lived because 3 members from Purified are absolutely wiped off the map. Gary now fighting for his life against Jaled, which that's going to be a trade, and that's going to give an opportunity for a domination for Fury 1. I don't think they're going to get it because Ventry's going to have to back off, but it really doesn't matter, does it? Because Fury 1 is in such a power position with the point lead that Purified has one more attempt. One attempt to turn their luck around, but if they fail it, it's all but done with.
1 attempt right there, and that's one hell of a way to start it off. Getting that down onto Aimboot, trying to bleed him out, and Addvers taking that much damage that early might have saved his life, because you got to imagine if he kept on going, he would have been blindsided by last move, as the great smoke's going to come out. Last move is going to try to rotate to try to help his team. Kardia is going to be the first player to go down. Toti takes out Ventry, so last move can't back up just yet. In fact, he has to get aggressive because the cross is going to be there. A double down from Toti as he saves the play. It looks like they're coming back just at the right time, as Fury 1's home hill is now under siege. Aimboot gets 1, but he's unable to make the catcher come through just yet. Toti with his hands full, with the world on his shoulders, he has to figure out a way to get these eliminations and the break, but he gets shut down. Gary gets shut down next, and Purified will lose the round, and Fury 1 will hold on to their momentum.
You gotta respect Purified for making it as competitive as they did, but even so, it was simply not enough. And after 2 minutes and 55 seconds, round 1 is officially going to go to Fury 1. That lead they had in the beginning carried them through till the end. But you got to be worried a little bit if you're Fury 1, because Purified had no business making that round as close as they did, yet they did it. And that comes to show you Purified is tough to put into the grave, especially if you want to play the long game. And starting off with the long shot early on, placing it in hell, Purified says this is the play, this is the game plan. And to be fair, this is something that helped them quite a bit against Team Queso last night. So let's see if it has the same result.
On the other side of things, though, Purified is not even on the other side of things. Purified is just honestly just having me shake my head like, what side of the bed they really woke up on, because they're playing like a shell of themselves. A lot of teams have been playing like that as of recent. A sniper is going to be picked up by Jaled. Gary finds that first down as Toti finds Jaled. That means the sniper is now out of play, so that early advantage is out the window as they get another down onto a player. It's actually no sniper now in the hands of Toti, who you've seen do wonders with it.
Absolutely, he's going to be a nuisance, and honestly, might not even have to use it. He's even got a bull talk too that he's just going to throw some shots out, and that's going to be a solid round win from Purified, and a quick answer back, right? So round number 1, no worries, they're right back in the saddle again.
Yeah, I was going to say that's unfortunate, unable to really put the sniper to use, but at the same time, is it if you're winning the round that kind of takes it out of play? But already you see how this one is going. Ventry, they want to fight, which is why they put that sniper down last round. Unfortunately, it didn't play out in a way that they wanted, but if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again.
Right, round number 3. Sniper is going to be fought for, obviously. Smoke out. Aimboot looks to be making the first move to get his hands on that sniper. Gary's going to take the opportunity with Toti on the high side, try and potentially go for an overextension, but it's going to be a tough battle because now the sniper is going to be in this location, ready to pop some heads. Good body onto Gary. Fortunately, no one there to follow up. So we're round 2. We're looking to make one more connection if he possibly can, but I like that Purified is taking matters into their own hands and pushing up. Toti bites up a little more than he can chew, manages to get back in time. But the neutral's going to be in the hands of Fury 1. So Fury 1, great shot on Gary. That's going to stop the push right there. We're going to be at a bit of, no, last move is going for it all. I love this play.
Yeah, now they have to go. Now they have to go, especially when they see their hill getting decapped. A nice shot over the top. A nice chunk onto one. And he finishes it down. Aimboot will not be stopped right now. Reflections with the game, or the round at least, on his shoulders. He steps up big time.
It takes so much composure to do that, doesn't it? When you're getting pressed that hard, and you know you're committing everything, and if you let those players through, the round is going to continue. And that move, that last move made on the opposite side of the map to get the domination, was kind of all for naught. But Jacob, that was such a good hold. 10 toes down for Aimboot. You love to see it from a young player, a young gun like himself. That gives great promise. He's going to have a good, at least a great split 2 here in the Gears Pro League.
Yeah, sure hope so. The way this man has been playing, I hope it's not a one-match wonder. Last move, a little bit late, but that's just because he wants to grab those instants. He's going to be going up against Gary. Sniper in the hands of Aimboot, who just sealed the deal last round. A big driving force for this team and the way they've been playing, but he's forced to back out as Jaled goes down, but he's just trying to reunite with last move. He kind of cuts off one of the tracks with that incendiary grenade, allowing for this rotation to happen. But with Ventry going down on the other side of the map, you know that neutral hill is going to decap. Finally, Purified have some footing in this matchup.
He said finally having some footing. Everyone looking gain any advantage that they possibly can. It is good, though, that they do have Aimboot once again, sniper in hand, an opportunity to go for the overextension. And Fury 1 isn't getting overzealous, and they're not making a move too quickly. They're thinking this through, it seems. I really hope this isn't because they don't know what to do, but more so they're kind of filling out what Purified is up to. So first fight 1, and now they can go for that overextension. Now, where things fell apart for Purified in that last round is Ventry was able to win the neutral. And this time he does get the decap, but he ends up falling. So even though A and C is going to be locked in for Fury 1, Purified will still stay alive. But a little bit more work to be done, especially if Aimboot can hold off player 3 Gary, who's off the respawn. Getting the sniper out of the way, plus getting your home hill would be great, but nope. Round 1 is going to be one from Aimboot.
And then you got last move kind of watching his back over the top. So you see Kardia trying to play his cards right, waiting for that perfect moment to flank. Luckily, he doesn't have to, and that's why he's returning back towards the middle of the map. They lose control of the hill, but just for a few short moments, Kardia tries to get in towards that position, but he gets shut down. Great shots from Ventry and his teammate to go ahead and neutralize that. And back to back, they find another hole. Thanks to last move on that overlook position across the map, they're able to maintain the positioning and once again get control of this neutral and put that pressure on to Gary, who I'm saying has to step up to make the plays, and he does just that. That's going to be the first shutdown onto Jaled. Continues to stay aggressive on the Ventry, but Ventry, he gets a massive shot fired off, not able to get the elimination, but he's going to live to rotate and keep the team from looking at him. But no, that's going to be a perfect play, perfect positioning by Toti.
Perfect positioning indeed. It's coming down to the wire, and Fury 1's giving it all they can to still hold on to that double home hill setup, which they are going to be able to get. Purified, though, is on the attack. They're going for, but at this point, really all Fury 1 needs is just their home hill, which they already have. One hill is going to be enough. Purified will give themselves a little bit more time to work with, but not much, because Jaled is holding his ground over on Overlook. He wins the 1v2, and he wins it in style. Now Kardia, last-ditch effort. A big move, but it's not going to be solidified. Fury 1 will take round number 4, and they will lead 3-1 heading into the second half.
This is not looking good for Purified, who I'll keep saying today have been struggles upon struggles for a team who, honestly, they started off not looking the best. I'll go ahead and say it. But what they've been able to do recently, especially after yesterday's big victory against Team Queso, it just seems like they've taken at least 6 to 7 steps back. And I want to see them fix it. Even though if they lose this series overall, I want to see them at least showing signs of it not being the truth.
That is true. And that's going to be a real conversation, right? You got Purified, who gets a great victory against Team Queso, and that they lose 3-0 against Fury 1. It's like, how high is their skill ceiling? How far can this roster go? Obviously, we know Gears teams and really Gears match in general can follow a day-by-day basis, but this would be a cause to pause, a big concern if they lost this series in the way that they do. Nice shot, though. Jaled able to flex his muscles for Fury 1 with that sniper. Otherwise, it would be Aimboot. Great, he's already flexed it as it is. Hits the body before that, then hits the heady onto Addvers. Fury 1 so aggressive. Kardia wins a big fight, but it's going to be short-lived. He's going to be taken down from the backside, and at this point, a domination looks like it's going to come through unless Toti can make a move on E.
That was close. That was close. Unfortunately, both last move and Jaled fall after getting the capture on the neutral and unable to maintain it. Addvers winning a 1v1 on the other side of the map. 10,000 damage up to this point, as they only got 1 round scored so far, but they're putting themselves in such a good spot. They're maintaining position over that overlook. That is going to be Gary and Toti with a Kardia rotating around. So 3 players kind of set up there with Addvers sitting in that home mill. Addvers is just marking out all these players. All these players just get marked. That's thanks to Addvers and the information gathered.
Purified, feeling comfortable at the moment. They can play that long game, which you're comfortable with. Fury 1, though, and their slaying power has just been great. So pushing through this choke point, you got to be ready for it. Kardia connects onto last move, though, with the instant. That's going to pump the brakes for a second. Do you think Aimboot, he's been loving that flame shake capacity, and I think he's going to try it one more time. Addvers needs to be ready for it.
He has no other choice because his teammates losing on that side of the map. That's where they're going to spread out. So Aimboot, this 1v1 is going to be important in terms of keeping your team alive. And in this round, even though you do trail, comeback potential will always be there. You got 3 players from Purified rotating back off of that neutral, but a quick down from Aimboot. Great usage of the Bull Talk. Almost turns onto Kardia, but unfortunately he gets taken out. That makes Ventry second guess this decision, but you got to imagine the 2v1's going to go down on the other side of the map. And this scoreline is rather close, but Fury 1, they need to get into that neutral, start to decap and the capture. Otherwise, they're going to need a triple neutralization.
Well, neutralization, right? Something that is pretty tough to work with. Fury 1, though, is going to give it their best shot. They do have an opportunity with 20 seconds.
He's looking.
5 once again on. Yeah, no one's looking. No, they finally do spot him. Aimboot, though, he's got his hands full, right? Because, oh, he doesn't help, though. Last move is going to be able to join. Toti holding his ground, though. And that should be all she wrote for Fury 1, having an attempt to come back in this moment. And in fact, it will be finally finished here. And that's going to be a 3-2 scoreline. Purified clawing their way back.
Very, very close round and a great effort by Aimboot yet again with the Bull Talk, taking a shotgun style fight with the Bull Talk. It shows the confidence this man is playing with, and almost goes to show why Fury 1 is in this advantage of a 2-0 map lead. But this is where Purified have to show that last stand. I said it as this one started. They need perfection at its finest to backdoor sweep the series and take it 3-2. And it starts on this map, whether you're clawing your way there or having a smooth sailing ride to victory, it's going to come in 5 maps.
All right, let's see, fight for snipe once again. Toti taking the upper hand to get into the cubby quickly. We'll be able to get out, though. That stun makes me pause a little bit. And yeah, Aimboot is going to challenge him. It's going to be just to the left. Toti, if he hangs around a little bit too long, he's going to get blindsided by Aimboot around the corner. And there it is, a bit of a misroll. Toti turns around, ready, but Aimboot takes him down. Sniper now out of the way. And it is going to be backpack, so no one should have their hands on it. Well done, at least in that regards, from Toti to see that opportunity. Fury 1, though, with D&E locked in. This is a tough hill to break for Purified.
Right now, their target should be Addvers. They have a player in the middle and a player up top that can try to lantern him out, but it does look like they want to try to defend this neutral because Purified sees it as a target. A great flashbang from Toti, unable to get the stun, but forces out the incendiary from last move, which is a small victory in its own right, as you see the overextension coming through from Kardia and another member of Purified. It's actually going to be Addvers as they're trying to break through this hill. So this is going to be a 3v2 on one side of the map versus a 2v1, but Gary goes down again. Addvers gets taken out. Great defense so far from Fury 1.
And great defense indeed. Fury 1 looking like they want to be on map point, series point. Purified, though, playing around with the home-to-home. Really, it's all up to Kardia because Addvers just came off the respawn. He's not going to be able to help. It's a great shot. Ventry, though, able to take him down. And that's going to be all she wrote for that round. 1 minute and 29 seconds. Doing it by seconds, 89 seconds. Hey, I'm getting good at math, man. So I've been doing these stats, loving it. 4-2, map points, series points, and again, this would be a big victory.
Big monumental victory. Does Fury One have a victory? I think Fury One has what, one victory so far. So I think this would put this ahead of both Team Queso and Purified. I could be wrong.
100%.
I could be wrong.
Well, Fury One's already above Team Queso, but this would put them above Purified.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yep.
Somebody made the statement in chat. And they're looking like it, so I can't say anything.
Vayne?
Looking like the low-key
KCP because they're grind?
Yeah, I was going to say new and improved, but not there just yet. But definitely the new version of KCP.
Bold statement, but hey, I appreciate the sentiment, you know, and I love that when Twitch chat, or, you know, whether it's on Twitch or whether it's on Twitter, you know, tweeting at Gears Esports, maybe tweeting at the talent team. Like, I love when they do send us things like that. You know, I value their opinions. You know, I want to hear what they have to say because, you know, these fans of Gears, man, they're just as you know, dedicated as we are when it comes to seeing, you know, the trends and how well these players grind. They create these narratives, and I really do appreciate that. So for Vayne to throw that out there, it's a bold statement. It really is. But you know what? He threw it out there.
Look at the mini map for a moment. I'm thinking, did Kardia see him? Did you see him trying to overextend over? But he did. Elimination, Fury One. They lose a member actually. So in theory, this would be an easy fight for Purified. But they're doing a good job on top of Fury One to keeping the pressure on and even shutting down two different players. Gary falls towards the back line. Toti gets shut down. It's going to be up to Addvers here, and he gets the revive. So this 2v2 will continue, but Sniper is still going to be in the hands of Fury One if they want to put it to use. Addvers quickly striking towards the outside. That's going to be 2 quick downs along with the help of Gary. So they alleviate the pressure on one side of the map as Ventry tries to dominate the other, and that's going to be Aimboot, the last man standing. So all that work on one side of the map by Purified is going to be close to nullified by a victory on their home hill.
And by the time Purified has an attempt to, you know, maybe stab at another hill, which obviously is going to be D, Fury One's looking at about 150 to 88. Marks out Gary hitting some shots, but not enough. But either way, Aimboot is hitting the ones that count, but he's down. Kardia luckily was able to help Toti in that regard. But then in the nick of time, Fury One does push through the choke point. They're going to use this this time to push up. Look at Toti. I like that move. He was taking down Kardia, got the pickup. Toti not wasting any time going home to home. Matter of fact, this is it. They're going to get it.
Woo! Great shutdown over the top. Great attempt, though, from Ventry.
That's a domination.
There's the squad. But yep, shots over the top. Going to secure that. And I would say, I don't remember the last time I've seen a Marksa placed on the map. I don't know whether I like it or not. I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Last night, baby, right here on training grounds.
Did it work?
I thought so.
Or was it just another weapon?
I mean, it really is just a placeholder. Let's be real. But I mean, it hits hard though. Last night I think Addvers was the one rocking it because it was placed during the TQ Purified matchup.
I like it though. I like it.
Yep.
Placeholder. I used to be like the throwaway Hammerburst placement in Gears of War 4 in the beginning before Drix kind of started dominating people with it, and people are like, "Yo, we can't put that down anymore."
GA it. It's gone, man. You can't play.
Drix too good. He's just Hammerburst in the world.
Hammerburst in the world. Hey, you remember the Talon whenever it was first being utilized too?
I'm so thankful that's gone. A lot of these weapons, man, if in the right hands, or in some cases, depending on the weapon in anybody's hands, it's so deadly. But Fury One is that deadly force in this game. Even though they lost the last round, they're still in the driver's seat, ready to close it out in a 3-0 fashion. Toti trading off that hill or that power weapon, which he kind of misses that first shot, but I love the attempt.
Yeah,
what he's thinking.
Catch that pixel off. You know, some of these Gears pros, they're nerdy like that, man. They're like, you know, I can hit that shot. And they do, and it's just amazing. Nice body. Player up ahead. It's not going to be enough. Overextension for Purified. They're committing quite a bit. Addvers and Kardia are going to try and challenge Last Move and Aimboot for the D hill. Player 3 also is going to join into the mix, so it's going to be a 3-man full frontal push onto Ventry and Aimboot.
So they need to push the hill because that's the only real way Toti is going to be able to help that roster on that side of the map. Even players check towards his left though. That's going to be up to Jaled to continue to move forward and not allow Toti to get comfortable, but he did. He waited too long to push forward. That's going to be a connection Toti, he's just trying to outlast. He's just trying to waste some time. He knows he has reinforcements on the way, and that's exactly why he's going to give up the hill as well, but he can only give it up for so long. Fury 1 does already have the lead, so if they get the decap right here, it will be up to Purified to begin to make the moves. Ventry gets down. 3 players are eliminated from Fury 1. Great flank opportunity, though. Gary and Toti doing what they can here to find these eliminations, but it's just down so far. Finally, they get that moment to breathe, but they still only have 1 hill. Look at the mini-map reflections. A mad dash for the neutral. A 4v2 advantage for Purified if they take it.
Aimboot and Jaled have their hands full. Purified, full frontal push onto E with 3 of their members. And Toti already hitting some great shots, but misses the critical one. Aimboot will eat him alive, taking him down. And at this stage, when Fury 1 is at map point series pool with only 25 seconds, that E fight was a must win. And unfortunately, it was lost. Purified knocking on the door of taking an L here in the way of 3-0. And with Addvers falling, I think that's going to be a GG. Training Grounds is a big map. Jaled knows it's all but over with, and Fury 1 will, in fact, pretty much complete. Yeah, they willed after that kill. It's 3-0. Fury 1, Bane's saying, look, they're looking like the KCP of old in terms of their ability to grind. Latam, you know, obviously has heart. They have passion. I agree with that fully. Hey, I don't know how far and how high these guys are going to continue to go up the Pro League leaderboard, but after tonight, they're definitely going to be above Purified and Team Queso and a couple of others. Fury 1 looking serious.
Side of Fury 1, man, you said it yourself. They are looking serious. They're looking like the real deal. Even in some of the series that they lost, you got to give them credit. That map number 1, being able to really set the tone and the pace. It's about for them growing as a team and figuring out how to shut down the rest of the series. Not just that map number 1, but for them, they got the rest of the week off. A quick 3-0 shutout for Fury 1, man. And I'm definitely proud of the young guns.
I'm proud of them as well. I mean, you know, you even go back to their earlier matchups, their L's that they have taken, Pioneers being one of them. They still took a map off of them. Yeah. That's truly, truly impressive. I think Fury 1 definitely is going to surprise. They already are surprising not only myself, yourself, but also some of the viewers out there too. And I know for sure going into any matchup Fury 1's going to have in the future, I'm going to definitely look a little bit harder onto them and say, you know what? I might want to pick them as my prediction, right? Because these guys, they've grinded, they're looking good, they're looking serious. And I got to say, I'm really appreciating what I'm seeing. Those shots from Aimboot earlier with the sniper were great. Look at that play right there, Jacob. For him to remain composed with Addvers and Toti pushing him like that and then to win that fight, I mean, that takes some cojones, bro, and he had him.
Yeah, I really don't know why Addvers dropped the meat shield. I didn't see if he was getting flanked or not, if he was pressured to kind of push forward, but dropping the meat shield after you get sniped and there's distance for the shotgun, it just seemed like these guys not playing on all cylinders, and you cannot say too much because it's up to Fury 1 to kind of shut it out, and they did more than just shut it out. They were convincingly winning a lot of these battles. There goes another example of just that. And even though Toti had the sniper here, Jaled with his aggression, this entire roster with the amount of aggression they put on, they didn't allow them to breathe. They didn't allow them to formulate any strategies, and even when they did, they just slapped it right back.
Slapped it right back indeed. Well done. 3-0. Not how I expected this series to go at all. And check out Training Grounds. I expected to be fantastic for Purified. Turned to be very lackluster. Very lackluster indeed. Fury 1 looking great, looking serious. They got my respect. They really do. Liking what I'm seeing so much. Hey, Corey, look, I am relaxed. I'm just saying, man, look, hey, people in chat are putting their opinions out there, and I love that. And I'm going to run with it.
I love them.
Man, come on, man. I mean, hey, they're putting themselves out there. You make bold statements like that, I got to respect you. Even whether it's right or wrong, whether it's far-fetched or not, you're putting yourself out there. You know, sometimes people get wild, but I think Vane called it. He checked me in on Twitter, Jacob. He said Fury won, and I think they're going to win it, and they did. So I much respect.
Wonder if he's in the trenches with him. Who's their coach? Who's the Fury 1 coach?
Are you asking a hard question?
I don't know who the Fury 1 coach is, but you got to imagine he's in the trenches with them and just basically say, hey, yo, just keep going forward. No matter what happens, keep going forward. Because I've said it so many times. Right now, the meta of Gears of War 5, if you're not playing aggressive, you're not going forward more times than not, you're losing the series, you're losing the match. And Purified was not going forward. They were stopped dead in their tracks. Jaled, Aimboot just playing phenomenal. And I'm just kind of looking at my side monitor, really seeing the replays yet again. So many different occasions. Aimboot just stopped Purified from making big plays.
I don't know if it's their coach or sub, but Speyer? I don't know how to say it. Saer. But hey,
You learn.
you know, I'm gonna learn his name by the end of this, especially if you're one playing as well as it did. Congratulations, big 3-0 victory. Purified back to the drawing board they go. That's 2 series down for the day, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more, and it is going to be a great conclusion to tonight, and also to our second day of Gears Esports for this week. Rise playing against Pittsburgh Knights. 1 will be undefeated by the end of this. You don't want to miss out. We'll be right back.